There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world. There are, it may be, so many kinds of languages in the world. And none of them is without distinction. None of them is without distinction. If someone speaks German, there is a dialect. There is a very specific tone that the German tongue has. There's a very specific tone that the Russian tongue has. You can even distinguish between Japanese and Chinese. Hebrew and Aramaic, similar, but because of the tone, because of the dialect, because of the Slavic overtone, you'll be able to understand what's Hebrew and what's Aramaic. There's a distinction in the voice. Look at what he's talking about. Paul is talking about languages, people. All right. Okay. Therefore, if I know, I'll pick it up at verse 10. There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world, so many kinds of languages in the world, and none of them is without distinction. Therefore, if I know not the meaning of the language, therefore, if I know not the meaning of the voice, I shall be unto him that speaks a barbarian, and he that speaks shall be a barbarian unto me. Don't tell me that there are two kinds of speaking in tongues. That's a lie. There's only one type of speaking in tongue. Only one type, okay? And that is a foreign language that the Spirit gives in order that the other may be edified, okay? That the other may be edified if he or she does not speak your tongue or your language. Follow through. Even so, I'll pick it at verse 11 again. Therefore, if I know not the meaning of the language, I shall be unto him that speaks a barbarian, and he that speaks shall be a barbarian unto me. Even so you, for as much as you are zealous of spiritual gifts, seek that you may excel to the edifying of the church. Wherefore let him that speaks in an unknown tongue pray that he may interpret. For if I pray in an unknown tongue, my spirit prayeth, but my understanding is unfruitful. What is it then? I will pray with the Spirit, and I will pray with the understanding also. I will sing with the Spirit, and I will sing with the understanding also. Else, when you shall bless with the Spirit, bless in tongues, how shall he that occupieth the room of the unlearned say amen? How can one say amen and you are blessing the food in a foreign language? You could be saying, holy and gracious Father Satan, I ask that you bless this food, that I'm about to receive for my health and for my nourishment, so that I may continue to go out to this world and deceive all the nations unto damnation, right? And you sit back and say, yeah, that was good. That was good. Amen. What is it then? I will pray with the Spirit, and I will pray with the understanding also. I will sing with the Spirit, and I will sing with the understanding also. Else, when you shall bless with the Spirit, how shall he that occupieth the room of the unlearned say amen? At your giving of thanks, seeing he understandeth not what you say. I had an associate, went over to his home, and brother blessed the food in Hebrew, okay? Couldn't say amen to that because it could not understand everything that he was saying. So who was edified? Was he and his family edified? Was I edified? No, he and his family was edified. For you verily givest thanks well, but the other is not edified. I thank my Elohim, I speak with tongues more than you all. More languages than all of you, right? Now watch this. I want you to watch this. This is Paul talking. Now watch what Paul says. Let's go over to Acts chapter 21. Let's go over to Acts chapter 21. Here you got people in the congregation speaking in tongues, and they don't even know the purpose of speaking in tongues. I'm going to bring all these things down for you. And if you'd like to give me a call, you can contact me at 704-553-7625. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. It's not a problem whatsoever. Let's go to Acts chapter 21. I'm going to pick it up at verse 37, and you'll understand what Paul is talking about. He said, I speak more tongues than all of you. And he's talking to the leaders in the assembly. That's who the epistles went to. All right, 37. And as Paul was to be led into the council, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto you? Who said to Paul, Can you speak Greek? Are not you that Egyptian, which before these days made an uproar and led us out unto the wilderness, 4,000 men that were murderers? If you go back and you look at your Egyptians, okay, were what they classify as Negroid looking people, black people, all right? That's another class, but just go figure that out, right? Paul being misidentified as a Hamite, an Egyptian, all right? Gives you an idea of his pigmentation, all right? Okay, verse 39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Sicilia, a citizen of no mean city. And I beseech you, suffer me to speak unto the people. And when he had given him license, Paul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spoke unto them in the Hebrew tongue, Ivrit, saying, Men, brethren, and fathers, hear you my defense, which I make now unto you. And when they heard that he spoke in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silence. And he said, Saul was a Pharisee. He was born in Sicilia, Tarsus. He was born amongst an academic structure, okay, scholars, individuals that excelled in academics, if you will. At best, Saul perhaps spoke Aramaic, Greek, Hebrew, and perhaps even Latin, which was a language that was really spoken amongst those in the hierarchy in the Roman Empire, okay? But anyway, what I want to do is just go and show you that Paul was bilingual and very well possible multilingual, quadrilingual, whatever lingual you want to call it. He spoke a number of languages. This is the reason why he said in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 18, I thank my Elohim, I speak with tongues more than you all. More than you all, right? Okay, now, let's see something here. Let's go ahead and pick it up at 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 19. Yet in the church I had rather speak 5 words with my understanding, that by my speech, by my tongue, by my voice, by my language, I might teach others also, than 10,000 words in an unknown tongue. Many of the people in my society can hold class, teach class in Hebrew, right? Which for those of us who dwell in America, it is a foreign tongue. It is an unknown tongue. There are people in our culture, in our society, that can hold a whole conversation in Hebrew, an unknown tongue, to those of us who only know English, okay? How are they edified? How are they benefited? I mean, we can go through Genesis and Revelation speaking in a tongue. I mean, it sounds great, but the question is that person edified? Have they learned anything? If they don't understand the language, they haven't learned nothing. Here you have people that speak in an unknown tongue. I mean, in the middle of speaking English, holding a sermon, you know what the, okay. 19, yet in the church I had rather speak 5 words with my understanding, that by my voice I might teach others also, than 10,000 words in an unknown tongue. Brethren, be not children in understanding, howbeit in malice. Be you children, but in understanding be men. In the law. Now look at what Paul is quoting, right? Look at what Paul is quoting. That's 1 time. Look at what Paul is quoting. That's 2 times. Look at what Paul is quoting 3 times. He's quoting law to you. He's telling you the purpose of speaking in tongues. He's telling you the purpose of speaking in tongues. In the law it is written, with men of other tongues and other lips will I speak unto this people. And yet for all that will they not hear me, right? Let's go and read that over in the law. Let's go over to the book of Isaiah. Chapter 28. Isaiah chapter 28. Hold your place in 1 Corinthians chapter 14. We're going to go Isaiah chapter 28 and notice what Paul has just quoted, right? And the reason why you don't understand this in the New Testament is because your pastor, your ecclesiastical leader is not teaching you history. you don't have a very clear understanding of the scriptures because you start at the end of a book. Who